This is Paul with Nth Degree, and today I'm going to take you through Duck Yeah, which is our brand new Splunk app packaging as a service. So when you're developing Splunk apps, there are several things that you have to do. You have to munge all of your local to default. There are some metadata changes that you have to make. For Splunk Cloud, you need an app.manifest, and over time, things like stale metadata stanzas will build up in there. And so we streamlined all of that as a function of making it easier for ourselves, quite frankly, and wanted to offer this as a service to the Splunk community. So you can see here, I have installed Duck Yeah directly off of Splunkbase with no configuration yet. So we're going to walk through that configuration. So this is going to take you to the setup page for the app, and notice here that we have to register. Again, Duck Yeah is as a service, so this is registering with our backend so that we can provide that service to you. Now, it's going to take your name and your email from whatever is set in the account settings. If you're signing up for a Teams or an enterprise account, then you're going to want to go ahead and enter your group API token in here. If you're just signing up for yourself, you don't actually need to provide anything else. Now, there is an end-user license agreement for this. Again, for individuals, teams, and enterprise are going to be covered by a separate agreement, a separate contract. So we're going to scroll through this entire guy here, and we're going to register. Now, it's going to send a verification email. So we're going to jump over here and wait for that verification email to come through. It's usually pretty fast. Nothing like trying to demonstrate registration of a service live. Now, you can just click through this verify account button. I am going to copy this registration code and bring it over because I can never predict which of my windows and which of my monitors that's going to open on. So we're going to simulate that click by clicking this in here so we can go ahead and get started with using the service. That saved was letting us know that the app has now been configured, and it's going to pre-fill this API token, to which we're going to need to click save again, just because of the way this is securely stored on the back end. Now, you will always be able to see if you have an API token set by this placeholder text here. We see here at the bottom that you can set defaults as to how you want to build and package your apps. And we have an area here where we can actually top up credits. If you'll notice here, this little yellow circle at the top, there are a certain number of credits, and anyone who registers and downloads this gets 5 free package operations, and then you can top up for more. And then, of course, teams and enterprise accounts are managed under contract. So with the API token set, we are going to jump over here and begin our first package operation. Again, this is going to be munging changes from local to default. This is going to be cleaning up metadata, making sure that there are not users set on that, writing app.manifest, and doing everything that you need to distribute this on Splunkbase, internally, or Splunk Cloud. And you know what? Why don't we just use Duck Yeah for this? So it's going to warn you if it finds any local artifacts, because those will be omitted, any private artifacts, because those will be omitted from the final package. I'm going to accept this risk because this doesn't need to be in there. Now, that scrolled through a lot of things. If this app information had not been set, it would have stopped here. And you can see here you can set the version and the build. Those actually can't be edited because that's going to be controlled by the increments below. You can change the label, change the description, change all the authorship information. And now we get down to how we actually want to build this. So if you build in feature mode, it gives you the opportunity to add a Jira tag to it so that you can track what changes went into which files. And if you build this in release mode, then what it's going to do is it's going to take all those Jira tags, compile them, and present them to you at the end of the build so that you can very quickly collect your release notes. If I were to build it in release mode, you can choose either a patch, a minor, or a major, but we are going to keep this in feature mode for today. And we're going to go ahead and set that. Now, I have a few things defaulted here, which is why it didn't ask for input. Overriding the build number will allow you to set the increment for that. So if you're on build 90, by default, it will go to 91. If you wanted to go to 92, you would actually set a 2 here for the increment number. So we don't want to do that. You can also provide those same increment overrides if you were working in release mode. Now, for this one, I'm going to select to preserve local artifacts, just because when I actually execute this, because I'm running the app on itself and it clears local, it actually won't be able to do the final few steps because it's cleared out that local. And then the supported deployments is for that app.manifest. So let's push the button and see what happens. Right now, it's packaging all up locally and sending it to our API. And keep in mind, this never touches the file system on our API. Now, when it comes back, it is going to pass it through Splunk's App Inspect to check it against best practices. Now, we've gone ahead and pre-filtered out any informational nodes and any successful checks because those aren't particularly actionable by the by a developer. So what we're going to do is we're going to present you with any warnings and any errors that would, or any failures that would actually stop your process here. So we can see we got some warnings on this. We're using JavaScript. And we have Python. So exactly. Now, you never ever want to click back on this because tokens can get out of whack, and we've done a pretty decent job of protecting against that. But if you want to go to the app you just built, you're going to click the button to the left. And if you want to build more, we're going to click the button to the right. Now, I'm not actually going to take you through another build. There are some other really cool things about this. First of all, let's say that we want to exclude certain stanzas from local in that final build. And an example for this would be if you are developing an app where you have save searches enabled or inputs enabled, and you need them to keep running for testing purposes, but of course you don't want to distribute those as enabled on the back end. So we're going to hit the Duckya app itself, because we do have some locals here. Notice that I am ignoring app install is configured, and I'm ignoring everything from passwords because you don't want those included in the final build. In fairness, the API is always going to ignore these particular settings. And if I wanted to turn it back on, it's as simple as clicking the restore button. But passwords will never be included in a final build, and the is configured parameter will never be included in a final build. We touched briefly on the setup earlier. If you ever need to top up credits, it's as simple as selecting the amount that you want to purchase. And then we are going to run through the checkout here. So this is a dummy account, so I don't mind giving this dummy credit card number here live. And we're going to go ahead and submit that payment. And we should see, we used one operation through that demo, and you can see that it's now restored to 5, available for immediate use. And then finally, if you have any feedback on how we can make this better, if something breaks for you, or if you just want to say hi to us, then go ahead and click the help link. From here, we can submit a rating. So I think this is pretty awesome. And we're going to go ahead and save that feedback. So what that's doing is it's actually creating a ticket on Nth-Degree Solutions, and then we can interface with you from there. We can see here that our ticket number was 355, and yeah, that's it. So we have taken several, by our count, about 10 manual processes. What I didn't mention too is that in the final build, it's going to take anything in those .conf files and alphabetize them. What we learned is that as things are munged either manually or through some different tools, if you're trying to use change control on this and you have them in a Git repository, then what's going to happen is it can sometimes look like the entire file changed when really all you changed is 1 or 2 lines. So by alphabetizing everything that can be safely alphabetized, you can very, very quickly see what changed as you're running through that. I should also mention that Duckya requires you to build in a Git repository because it's very, very unsafe to run file system operations on something that you are not tracking changes on. So I thank you so much for your time today, and I hope that this makes your life as easy as it's made ours.